a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
And thank you so much for spending some time with us here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, always serving you as a consumer advocate, making you more street smart here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We've got Duane Bishoff back in studio, CPA of Tampa Bay. We're going to talk about tax returns. We're going to talk about ERTC also, and what is the proper way to put your kid's name on a house. Sometimes you're seeing people add kids' names to the house. Does that hurt or harm your tax preparations? It can. So we're going to talk about some of the basics there as well. Also, the number one issue for Gen Z, a.k.a. younger Americans, we got a poll that just came out. We're going to talk about that as well. And coming up, I want to invite you to our party. We've got a gratitude party coming up next week. It's on Thursday, June 20, 6 o'clock. Brio Tuscan Grill, International Plaza Mall, the official restaurant partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. Come on out and join us. All of our audience is invited. Last time we had several audience members come on out, maybe small business owners. Maybe you just want to get out and meet some like-minded people and come on out and enjoy. So we're going to have appetizers there. We're going to have drinks provided for the first 20 people that show up. Brio Tuscan Grill, 2223 North West Shore Boulevard. That's in Tampa. It's at the West Shore, at the north side of West Shore Avenue at the International Plaza Mall. Come on out, June 20. Check us out, Brio Tuscan Grill. And it is the Consumer Quarterback Show's party, gratitude party, third Thursday event. And it's always a good time, Alex. We always have a good time over there meeting the audience. I think that's the cool part for me is when we get to meet the audience. And then also just catching up with some of our longtime friends of the shows, people like Jay Smith, Thomas King. You know, these are people that have been involved with the show 8, 9, 10 years in some cases.
Absolutely. I would also argue that it's, just for the calamari alone, you should go and check it out.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the calamari, the flatbreads, the food. Have you been there, Duane? Have you been over there?
I don't know if I have.
Brio?
Are you a calamari guy?
Yeah, I can eat it. Yeah.
You got to come.
Go.
That's it. It's sold.
Now, the big question is, though, on the calamari, is it the red sauce or that yellow sauce they serve?
Man, the other sauce is good, but I'm a classic guy.
I like the classic.
I go with the red.
I do the double red when I order it.
Definitely.
There you go. And by the way, folks, if you just go over there and tell them you heard about them here on the Quarterback Show, they're going to hook you up with a free appetizer. Just by mentioning that, you can talk to Chef Oscar Ramirez, Joey, the general manager. Tell them we were talking about them on the radio here. Brio Tuscan Grill, International Plaza Mall, excellent food. And they might even hook you up with a free water with lemon.
I would also add a little side note for it is great for family dining as well. My daughter absolutely loved it. I went there on my anniversary, brought my daughter as well with us. And,
nice.
And she was like, "Daddy, this restaurant is so fancy." But why was it fancy, Brandon? Do you know why it was fancy?
White tablecloths.
No. It goes beyond that, buddy. You're thinking too small.
Yeah.
They put that paper layer on top of the tables, and when you're a kid with a crayon, the table becomes your canvas.
That's fun.
You can go full on art. We have tic-tac-toe games. It's great. So, anyways, the kids will love it too.
I love those. Yeah, here's an interesting story coming up later too. Is how a US high school class solved 6 murders. So. Pretty cool. They were doing some stuff during their class, ended up solving what was known as the Bible Belt Strangler.
A legit cold case. It was a legit cold case.
There you go. That's the key word, cold case. I left that out. All right, Duane, we'll jump into some content here in just a minute. Before we do, just a couple of hot listings here. Folks, we always feature our listings, real estate team, Keller Williams Realty. My wife, Lindsay, and I own a top team. 1922 Fiesta Ridge Court. This one's in Tampa Bay. Beautiful property, 2 bedrooms, 2.5 bath, almost 1,300 square foot townhouse right here, centrally located, Las Palmas Townhomes in Tampa. You have both bedrooms are situated on the second floor. You have living room slider leads out to a fenced-in backyard and deck. Great location close to Tampa International Airport, Hyde Park, and more. Stainless steel appliances, ample counter space. Just a great opportunity to own real estate right here in Tampa Bay. 2 bedrooms, 2.5 bath, gated community at Fiesta Ridge Court. 5198 40th Street South, St. Petersburg. Now, this is another great opportunity. Completely renovated, beautiful home here. 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, 2-car garage, 3,000 square feet at 5198 40th Street South, St. Petersburg. This one is close to the Tiki Dock Skyway Bar. You're close to the Gulf Beaches in downtown St. Pete, right there, close to Eckerd College. Also, you have a kitchen that's been stainless steel appliances, breakfast bar, recessed lighting, beautiful flooring throughout the home as well. And you also have a 2-car garage, over 3,000 square feet at 5198 40th Street South in St. Petersburg. And you can see all of our real estate listings. We've got 60 listings, vacant land, commercial properties, and, of course, residential at platinummvpteam.kw.com. All right, that's right. Shout out to our troops and our military, our veterans. We love you. Thank you so much for all you've done. We wouldn't be able to be doing what we're doing if it weren't for you and your sacrifices. Thank you so much. Every day is a Veterans Day around here. Duane Bishoff, welcome back, sir.
Thanks. Great to be here.
CPA of Tampa Bay in the house.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. So what time of year is this? Is this like people rushing in documents to you, or they're saying, hey, we're going to wait till, you got a little bit of a lull here, right? Because it's not quite as pushy? No.
Some of the stuff that we pushed off to do tax returns are now getting due.
Yeah.
We've got audits that are due, people wanting them done. We've got people selling businesses, so they need financials, and it just keeps getting busy.
I like that. Yeah. I love the idea of, selling businesses. That you think about an exit strategy when you have a business for many, many years. And so I think, number one, when I think about selling a business is, do you own the real estate? Do you have that ingress and egress and that traffic, that migration pattern? Because a lot of what we do as human beings is, hey, it's a quick, easy right and then a left and then I'm there. And that's the one I go to because that's the one I'm there. But if you only lease the space, you're losing out on that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of reasons when you think about selling a business. What comes to mind for you?
Well, what comes to mind for me is I look at it from the numbers standpoint. Has it been profitable? Have you been reporting all your income like you should be? And
Exactly.
if you are, you're going to get more for your business,
Yep.
And again, is the real estate part of it? What's the value of the real estate? What's the condition of the real estate?
Right.
Who's going to use, what's the different types of uses this real estate can be? And then if there is, as far as a business, can it be taken over by someone who hasn't done that work before? Does it need, it's a CPA business, does it need a CPA, or is it a different type of business that anybody can come and run?
Yeah.
So those are all things that go into it.
Yeah, and on the real estate side too, when you look at that and you think about that scenario, are you reporting everything, right? You see these self-employed buyers, they're like, oh yeah, but I can afford this $700,000, $800,000, $900,000 house. But what did you report on your taxes?
Right.
That's when they talk to our mortgage team and they say, well, you're not qualifying there. So do you have sometimes, because I think you can do that, right? You can go back and refile. Let's say you needed to show a little bit more money. You can go back and say, oh, I made a mistake. I need to refile these.
You can amend, right.
Amend tax return.
Right.
Yeah.
But you're not supposed to amend to overstate income more than it was.
Right.
Because that's fraudulent as well.
Well, I think most of the time people are doing the opposite though. They're trying to write off, right? And then they say, "Oh, well, but honey, I love that house. Let's try to make it work."
There's both. So
Okay.
you have some people who have cash, they take cash businesses, and then all of a sudden, I forgot this cash,
Yeah.
And so there's some leeway in between both ways to do.
They're doing laundry one day and then they change the sheet and they're like, "Wait, what's this cash underneath the mattress?" Oh, that's what it was. All right, so we're talking with Duane Bishoff, CPA of Tampa Bay. So talk to me about these ERTC, these employee retention tax credits. Is that still hanging around?
It's still hanging around.
Yeah.
There is, I think the House has passed a law. Or they passed a bill, not a law, a bill. And the Senate hasn't confirmed it yet. The president said he would sign it if the Senate confirms it. If that happens, then it's no more filing. It's going to go retroactive to January 31st, so it's over. But if they don't, then you could still file because you still have some window left to file.
Mm-hmm.
But what's happened is, probably 9 months ago, they kind of just put the halt on processing these returns because there's so much fraud going on in them.
Oh.
And they were just blindly sending
Stamping
checks
them?
out. Exactly.
Rubber stamp?
Yes. And they got inundated. I got 3 million returns to look at or something like that. They said the other day. I was on a webinar. But what's happening now is they're looking at the files, and so they say if you think you may have a bogus return, you can pull it back out. You won't get charged. There's a couple things, and there's a lot of bogus returns out there because people didn't. So there's a couple ways to make it. One way is if you have the numbers work, that your revenue went down enough, then you can qualify. If not, people say, we were closed down, we had supply chains. Those things aren't going to really fly in Florida. We weren't closed down that long, and a lot of that's not going to fly. So if that's what you're banking on, you could be in some serious trouble. And so anyhow, we have several that we help people file that are based on numbers and that haven't gone anywhere. So now there's talked about we could pull a transcript and see if they've gotten the returns, because people we haven't heard anything. We set these things in a year ago, 15 months ago, haven't heard nothing.
You'd think all the 75,000 new IRS agents would be chipping in and getting that out.
Right. So we go online and look to see if they've received it. That's a good news. I believe coming up here in about a week, there maybe start to where you can e-file these. So we may start re-e-filing them. So we know they've gone through. And there's documentation that they want. Before, you didn't have to have documentation. Now there's documentation. They may write letters to people who have filed when they start officially processing claims to say, hey, we need this, and this documentation to back up your claim. You send it in, you get it. They've got to send it to you,
right?
The claim. So
yeah, well, that makes sense.
Nutshell, it absolutely makes sense. That's where it is. It's just a slow process. It's not going to get done in the next 6 months. So
right,
I've got people waiting on $150,000, 40 grand, 150 grand, whatever.
Man.
And, yeah.
Well, they're not worried about it up there. So in D.C., I'm talking about.
Right.
We're talking with CPA of Tampa Bay, Duane Bishoff here, longtime friend of the show. All your tax advice, information, questions around filing taxes, tax returns. To talk to Duane, we want you reaching out to the show hotline, 727-263-3707. You can call or text. It's an off-air number, 727-263-3707, online at consumerqb.com. Duane, talk to me, too, about a lot of times in real estate, people want to do quitclaim deeds and put people on title and change. But talk to me about how that can affect them on their taxes in the step-up basis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's a common thing. Mom and dad are getting old. Maybe one of them passed away, and they're trying to see what's going to happen. You hear all the disasters. They hear different disasters. Okay, we're going to solve this by putting the daughter or the son's name on the title. And what you've done is basically just gifted them
equity.
Half. If it's two names, now you've gifted them 50%.
Yeah,
unless it's stated otherwise. And so the big thing that comes in is when you go to sell. Mom, whoever it is, passes away. Now you have this house. You want to sell it. If they bought it 30 years ago, 40 years ago, they may have paid, $80,000 for it. Now it's worth $400,000. You don't get a step up for the 50% that they gifted you while they were alive. You get a step up for the 50% that you got when they died.
Yeah.
So you're going to pay tax on the gain. Yeah. And so the best thing to do is if you're going to do anything, is to get a trust and put in the name of the trust.
Okay.
And then that way it can pass on. It doesn't have to go through probate. It can pass on properly. You still get a step up in basis. And and the step up in basis is you get the value of the house at the date of death. So if mom paid $80,000 for a house and now it's worth $350,000 on her date of death, so now now instead of 80 being your cost basis, 350 is your cost basis. Mm-hmm. So you go and sell it for 350, you have no gain. You're probably going to have a little bit of a loss because you're going to have closing costs and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because what they were originally trying to do was avoid probate.
Correct.
And that's why they added the name on. So the best way to avoid probate is to put it in a trust.
Correct.
Okay. All right, good stuff. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back and talk with Duane Bischoff, more with Duane here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Coming up, Jennie Restrepo as well, Insured Title Agency. And our feel-good story of the day, find out about how a US high school class solved 6 murders, cold case murders, identified the Bible Belt Strangler, coming up here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Thanks for listening to my daddy's show. Please make sure to send him all of your real estate deals and subscribe to the Consumer Quarterback Show podcast on iTunes and Spotify, or check out our YouTube channel. Have a blessed day.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 727-263-3707. Online at consumerqb.com.
Dennis Prager here for Brandon and Lindsay Rhymes, owners of the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams. Buying, selling, investing in real estate, their nationwide Keller Williams network makes them the best team to work with. Sellers, have your property featured live on air, creating multiple offers. Buyers, leverage a unique system that gets your offer accepted, never overlooked. Call or text 813-750-0550, 813-750-0550, or consumerqb.com.
Lindsay Rhymes here with Archer Place in Gainesville, Florida. Our luxury condo community is located only 1.5 miles from the University of Florida, 5 minutes to Shands Medical and Butler Plaza. Our buyers love the high-end luxury amenities in their building, including a state-of-the-art fitness facility equipped with Pelotons, the resort-style temperature-controlled pool accompanied with cabanas and grills, and the gourmet chef's kitchen in our clubhouse that overlooks the pool. We have pre-construction pricing only for a limited time, with floor plans ranging from a 1-bedroom, 1-bath to 2-floor penthouses with plunge pools. Starting in the low 400,000s to the high 900s, investors, parents sending their young adults off to school, medical professionals, business owners, and entrepreneurs alike are investing in these residences. Reach out to us today at 727-263-3707 to get more information.
You're listening to the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
Hi, Brandon Rhymes, Consumer Quarterback Show. We're back here in studio with Duane Bishoff. We're talking CPA of TampaBay.com and tax returns. More and more good stuff coming up here. Also going to get into the debt clock coming up here on the show. A couple of hot listings here. We always like to feature our real estate properties on air. Strategy is to help us sell faster for more money, maximizing the exposure and the profit on the sale of our real estate properties. So let's talk about this property here at 2790 Pinellas Point Drive in St. Petersburg. 2790 Pinellas Point Drive. This is a great opportunity for right here in Pinellas County. Beautiful home. I've been inside this home. It's gorgeous. 3 bedrooms, 3 bath, 2236 square feet. And culinary enthusiast will delight in the fully renovated kitchen. You got an open floor plan, beautifully landscaped, great location as well. You have solar panels on the roof to cut down on your electricity costs. Close to Skyway Bridge. 2790 Pinellas Point Drive, South St. Petersburg, Florida. Another one of our great listings here from the Platinum MVP team. We also have a property at 7919 New York Avenue in Hudson. New York Avenue in Hudson, another beautiful property here in Tampa Bay. This one is kind of a unique property as well. It's versatile, commercial, kind of a commercial mixed-use type property. It also could double as a comfortable residence. 2-bedroom, 1-bath, almost 1,300 square feet at 7919 New York Avenue in Hudson. We actually have 3 listings on New York Avenue right now, so you can see all of our listings at PlatinumMVPTeam.kw.com. And a quick shout out to our friends at Replenish IV Solutions. I love going down there, getting an injection of good stuff, getting all the vitamins in there. I'm getting the B's, the C's, the zincs, and all that good stuff going into the body. ReplenishIVSolutions.com. Let them know the real estate quarterback sent you. Take them up on those special offers. All right, Duane, so we talk a lot about, personal debt, business debt, structuring your taxes, those types of things that business owners and citizens have to do, where they say you have to pay taxes, you have to, all you have to do is die and pay taxes or whatever.
Right.
But something's going on up in D.C. It's been going on for a while. It's this debt, man. And I was listening to the interview with Thomas Massey, Senator Massey, and he was talking about how he wears this little pin on his lapel, and it talks about the debt clock. So this was pretty interesting. I thought it would be make for some good content here.
So what is that thing moving on your lapel, on your pocket?
That's the debt. That's my anxiety generator.
So it's actually making me really anxious. Is that real time?
Yes. So it's synced to Treasury. It gets the debt to the penny once a day, and then it looks at what the debt was a year ago, and it comes up with a rolling average debt per second, and it interpolates on weekends and holidays when the Treasury is not paying attention. I am.
So I think you're the only one who wants to know.
Yes, and I want my colleagues to know, and it's great to wear this thing in an elevator with like Adam Schiff, and he's got nowhere to look. I once caught a female congresswoman staring at it and had to tell her my eyes were up here.
So, yeah, he's pretty good. He's got a good personality. Just your general thoughts on the debt, and Alex has a screenshot here in case you wanted to know where we're at. Wow. What is that, 34? Is that trillion, or are we in the gazillions now, or is that trillion? What is that? 34 trillion, 813, blah, 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 right on down the line, man. Lots of debt there, Duane.
And counting.
And counting, and growing.
And rolling. It's actually rolling at $1,000 per second. So every second passing by, our country and our grandkids are going that much further into debt.
Yeah, it's just crazy. It's scary is what it is. I mean, if you get in trouble as an individual, you can file bankruptcy, you know, and do a reset.
Yeah.
There's no filing bankruptcy here.
Yeah.
And they're not doing anything about it. I mean, they just keep adding to it.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, I'm not promoting this, but I really thought that the estate tax right now, I don't remember what the total number is like a $15 million exclusion for each person. I figured that was going to get, back when I started in this business, it was $600,000.
Wow. So
then it went to 1.2 and then 2, and when Steinbrenner died, it was unlimited.
Really?
So, yes. Wow. But you didn't get a step up.
So the estate tax, meaning it's almost like a death tax.
That's a death tax, right?
Okay.
So if you have more than, if husband and wife are married, have more than $30 million between them, anything above that's going to be, they're going to pay tax on.
Got it.
At about 45%. Wow. So I figured they would roll that back because to me, it's my opinion, there's not a better time to try to collect tax than when it's going from one, generation to another. Okay, you're not getting this much, you're still getting something, you're just not getting this much. As much as that sucks, excuse my French, but it's got to come from somewhere. And that's the best place for me for it to come from.
No, I get you. I get it. A lot of people feel that way. And then what I would say, too, just while we're on this topic of the national debt, is you think about the BRICS currencies, you think about all these countries that are saying, hey, at some point they're going to say, we're not buying any more of this debt. Right. Matter of fact, we saw what you did to Russia. We actually took their money. We literally stole money from them when the war began. I wonder who did that. Let me guess. So then, so the strategy here is we're watering down our currency. We're opening our border. We're letting people in. We're letting drugs in. It seems to me like it's these rules for radical type books coming true. Like all of these negative things that you can be doing to a country. The happy hours at the school. What is it called? Where the clowns dress up. Drag queen happy hours. Every single way that they can attack us, they are, and the currency is going to be the one that hits us hard.
Yeah. So, well, the next thing you're going to do is that monetary.
Modern monetary theory.
Yeah, the money coming in, and it's going to have your electronic money.
Oh, digital currency.
Digital, yeah. Then they're going to control. They could control you at that point.
Yeah. Same thing with the electric cars.
Yeah.
Hey, you're doing what we don't like. You just got shut down.
Yeah.
Scary stuff. How do you want people to connect with you, Duane? Duane Bishoff, CPA of Tampa Bay is the website. CPA of Tampa Bay. Duane?
Yeah, they can get me an email, dbb at CPA of Tampa Bay, or call my office, 813-356-0400.
All right, DBB at CPAofTampaBay.com. Real easy to remember. And, of course, he's on our website as well at consumerqb.com. If you're driving, didn't catch all that. Duane, good stuff. Appreciate the updates on the ERTC. How to properly title. Want to use a trust when you're titling as well. And thanks for coming in, man.
All right, thanks for having me.
All right, coming up, Jennie Restrepo, also number one issue for younger Americans and Gen Z. We're going to talk about that and more with Jennie Restrepo coming up here. Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Hey, I'm Ken Shamrock, and you're here with Consumer Quarterback.
Restrepo in the house, Insured Title Agency. We've got some fresh fraud stories. I love that. We got some recent fraud. We also have some interesting content coming out of the MLS syndication feeds. Find out about this company, what they've just recently done with that. Also, GTAR and Pro merged. Greater Tampa Realtors merged with the Pinellas Realtor Organization. We're going to discuss that and more coming up here with Jennie Restrepo, Insured Title Agency on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Quick shout out to my massage therapist, because stress It is the number one killer. You hear about that from a lot of different places. Stress is a killer. I like going in once a week, getting my 90-minute massage over at Divine Balance Alternative Healing right here in Palm Harbor, Florida, Pinellas County, right off of US 19, Alt 19 there. They have, Christina does a great job. It's a great massage, hot towels, hot stones. You have aromatherapy, infused oils, reflexology, and more. 90 minutes, 120 minutes, body work menu. Divine Balance AlternativeHealing.com. You can check her out online, Divine Balance AlternativeHealing.com. Make sure you let her know the Real Estate Quarterback sent you. Take them up on special offers. All right, a couple of hot listings here. We always feature our properties on air. We got a property at 0 Rustling Wind. This one is vacant land. Build your dream home here. You got 4.5 acres of land, no HOA, no CDD, and you're located just a stone's throw away from a myriad of modern amenities. 0 Rustling Wind Road, Brooksville. By the way, when you hear 0 and then a name of a street, that's normally vacant land, and what it is, it just means that it has not been assigned an actual address yet. It's known as 0 Rustling Wind Road. Easy access to the parkway, 4.5 acres, Brooksville, Florida. Check it out online. All right, we got 6101 Bayside Drive. This one is a beautiful waterfront home, $1 million listing from the Platinum MVP team. 5 bedrooms, 3 bath, 3852 square feet, quarter-acre lot with lush palm trees, private boat dock. Bring your boat, bring your jet skis. Enjoy that Florida lifestyle and that living to the fullest. Beautiful property, lots of updates and upgrades. 6101 Bayside Drive, Newport Richey, Florida. And if you'd like to have your property listed on the show, we would love to talk to you as well. And you can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. Check out platinummvpteam.kw.com. All right, Jennie Restrepo back in studio, and you are a great networker. You're out there networking all over the place, and you are also busting people for fraud inside your title agency. I love it.
That's what we do. We are your fraud busting experts. And usually when I come on the show, I said, one of these days, Brandon, I'll come and I just won't have a new story for you, but it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, there you go. Well, hey, I like this. We're letting them know. We're putting them on notice. Like, if you try to screw over our people, our team, our sellers, buyers, investors, we got some research coming at you.
Well, you know who can vouch that if you try to screw over one of our customers, I'm on you.
Yeah, Matt in your office. I mean, the whole team, Corey. I mean, you got a great team over there.
Yes, they are phenomenal. They definitely make sure that none of these sneak by our team. So this one is fresh off the presses, happened this week. We received a contract for also vacant land, and it was in Longboat Key, so like a beautiful, I didn't see the contracts, I don't know the contract price, but we had a phone number that we were supposed to be texting with, and I used the wonderful app offered by Florida Realtors, so all Florida Realtors that are listening right now, forewarn, is an app that is being offered to you as a member benefit from Florida Realtors. It's free. Download it, use it, and here's how it works.
I use it too.
Yeah. Good. Okay, so I put in the phone number. No records found. Now, that doesn't automatically go, this is fraud. Some people have their personal information kept from the public record. But I said, well, what about a name? What name do we have? And so I put the name in, and sure enough, came up with the correct name and totally different phone numbers. So between those phone numbers and when we went to the clerk's office for Sarasota County, found that there was a notice of commencement pulled. So what is a notice of commencement? Is the intention to do something with this land. Okay, so that's if it's vacant land, that's probably your first step to building a home or building a structure. If it's an existing home, you might be putting on a roof, installing a pool, a shed, anything like that. You are pulling a notice of commencement, which is basically the notice that work is about to begin on this property. There was a fairly recently pulled notice of commencement, but it was still vacant land. Between these two things, contacting the builder that was on the notice of commencement and contacting the phone numbers that we were able to gather through Forewarn, this was fraud.
Oh, boy. Yeah, and it happens a lot. It happens, especially, first off, when you hear vacant land, That's number one. Ding, ding, ding.
Yes.
It's much easier to steal and to manipulate vacant land than, of course, having a home with a kitchen and, people living there, tenants, etc.
Yes.
So that's red flag number one. And then when you get into these other situations where the phone number's not matching up, I love that app. I love the Forewarn app. I've used it a couple of times, and we're going to make it a policy to before we take a new listing or before we work with a buyer that they have to be run through that, because we've had our fair share of. Let's say I'm on the air, I'm broadcasting. Should I go into details or should I keep it broad? We'll just say our fair share of situations lately.
Right.
And a lot of times it's just, and we have a lot of great clients, believe me.
Yes.
It's 1 out of 100, though. You get that wacko that wants to act like you know what and show their you know what. And I wish I could say other things, but we're on air, Jenny.
Let's keep it PG.
I'll bite my tongue here, Alex.
Yeah. The big problem is that, yes, for the many, many wonderful clients that we all deal with, unfortunately, there are those bad apples that are wreaking havoc. They're chaos agents.
Yeah, that's right.
And they're exploiting what is supposed to be a good system of making public information free and available to the public.
Yeah.
And they are using it to their advantages. The lowest hanging fruit right now, what we're seeing is the vacant land with an out-of-state correct registered owner.
There you go. Out-of-state is another one. Yeah.
Right. So we are doing above and beyond our extra due diligence to ensure that we are, because, hey, you don't have to live in the state of Florida to be able to sell your vacant land. That's not a requirement. But we are doing our extra due diligence, and I've heard some brokers are now requiring that listing agents fill out a questionnaire that the broker has developed with specific questions on how did you confirm the identity of this person, because the worst possible is that you get too far down the line. Well, the worst possible is that it closes and it's fraud.
Yeah.
Second to that would be you get farther down the line and you're doing research, you're contacting an architect, you're doing a feasibility study, you're paying for a survey, and then you find out it's fraud.
Yeah.
So we want to get on that as quickly as possible. And this wasn't even listed in MLS, but a contract is a contract. And so we are always committed to doing our above and beyond due diligence to ensure that everyone is the rightful buyer, seller, has all the correct information, and that when this buyer is purchasing this property, whatever it is, they're getting everything that they think they're getting, and that the person selling to them has all of the rights in order to transfer those rights to the new owner.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to do your due diligence. You got to be smart, and you got to be diligent and work with Jennie Restrepo, Insured Title Agency, right here in Tampa Bay, insured-title.com. I've got an interesting clip I want to play here where you have young Americans, Gen Z. There was a new poll that came out. Let's see here. Where is this one? Which one is it? Let me try to find that between the breaks. But Jenny, tell me also about the Bing issue. What you're telling me about. That was interesting.
It is interesting. Microsoft Bing recently came out with their own real estate portal. Now the problem with that is that, from what I understand, Bing did not have the proper authorization as an IDX partner. So IDX is the electronic way that information is shared. For example, when Brandon or his team put a listing in the MLS, there's a broker agreement, there's a licensing agreement that says that listing information has to be made available to all fellow brokers in that same MLS. That's the point of having multiple listing services, so that everyone has the same amount of access to the same amount of information, and that every buyer and selling team has equal access to be able to see this property and potentially market it or sell it to their buyers.
Level playing field.
Exactly.
Yep.
That's the whole point of it. Well, in the digital age, MLS now allows this information to be shared on other sites. For example, Zillow, Realtor.com. Yes, they get all of their information from realtors who pay for the pictures and put the descriptions in.
Yep.
But for whatever reason, someone at Bing thought it was a good idea that they wanted to make their own portal.
Wow.
But did not go through the proper channels to have an information sharing agreement with MLSs around the country.
Wow.
And instead co-opted, pirated the data from Zillow and Realtor.com, who do have those proper agreements in place. And we're broadcasting and advertising a way to search for real estate without having the correct licensing agreements in place.
Man, that's allegedly sounds like a really interesting. Yeah, it's
for
funny. We have to say
such a
allegedly
huge company,
1,000 times.
For such a huge company, that's a big deal. But okay, I'm not an attorney. However, I did study communications law when I was in college. And the biggest thing that I understand about copyright infringement is it is the responsibility of the owner of the copyright to enforce their rights.
Right.
Not the government. So it's not a crime.
Right.
And therefore, it's not a governmental agency. It's not an oversight agency that's going to enforce your copyright.
Right.
And that's why a lot of authors were taking issue with AI because AI was scanning their work and learning their writing style and then creating new works that were allegedly written by them but not by them. But the only reason AI was able to do that is by learning the way that they write.
Yeah.
And so copyright, obviously, in the media, especially with AI, but it is copywritten information. I mean, Brandon and his team spend time writing the listing description and researching the property,
measuring the rooms,
getting all the correct information, taking the pictures.
Yep.
And so that content is provided to MLS. That's part of our brokerage agreement. And then our partners have access to it, but it's not free.
Yeah, Alex?
So Microsoft Bing, that's really bizarre because that's Bill Gates. He's hardly ever tied to anything that's shady and corrupt, right?
I know, right?
So weird.
I doubt it was Bill himself that was like, it would be
Bill's
a great idea.
Bill's flipping the bill.
Bill's paying the bill, yeah.
I mean, everything rolls up, obviously, if you're the CEO, but...
Let me get to this clip, too. I just found this clip. I think this is it.
Number one issue for young Americans this election is not student loans, not abortion or guns, but it's housing, okay? Housing. So what are they talking about, housing, these young people? Housing affordability is the top election issue for Gen Z, according to a survey done by Redfin, with 12% of Gen Z respondents believe they will never own a home due to record high home prices elevated.
You will never own a home. That's a harsh statement, but cost of starter homes average was $390 in May of 2023. And there's also a stat here, 42% of Gen Z are getting help from their parents. And there's a lot of kids that are actually living with their parents. So I guess the overall question is affordability, Jenny. We've talked about this before as well.
Yes, affordability. Unfortunately, it's not just like a black and white issue. There's so many factors that go into that, but it is true. There is no longer a time where a starter home is $50,000 or in comparable monies, the percentage of your income that you would have to spend on housing is completely disproportionate to what it used to be. But maybe here's a hero story. I do know of a young man at 21 purchased his own home. Cool. So up until that point, he did live at home to save up money.
Save some money. Yep.
So he was working, he saved up money, and he bought his own home at 21 years old.
Good.
Not co-signed by his parents, not the down payment paid by his parents. But in certain situations, I've heard a lot of stories about generational wealth. So generational wealth is when, let's say, your parents or your grandparents pass away and they leave you money.
Yeah.
But now, depending on where you are in the lineage, that's also at the end or latter part of your life. So there is options out there. Like if your grandparents have a comfortable lifestyle and they want to leave something to their grandkids or help their grandkids get a leg up in buying a home, there are ways that they can do that now in their lifetime and then see you be in your home and enjoy that time spent with you in your home where you're hosting Thanksgiving instead of them. So I think, again, there's some things we can change and there's some things that are outside of our control, and there's more creative ways. I just listened to a Hot Topics panel that was put on by Greater Tampa Realtors this morning, and some of our local lender affiliates were talking about down payment assistance programs. And lenders are getting creative. Municipalities are getting creative. I think I've talked about the city of Tampa. Hometown Heroes is about to be refunded in July. So whereas the economy is sort of above and beyond my scope to do anything about, here on the local level, here in Tampa Bay, there's many lenders out there that can help you. And so the despair that Gen Z may feel, the number one thing that I tell people is you may think that, but did you talk to a lender yet? And usually the answer is, well, no.
Right.
Because I can't.
Get some
well,
ideas.
you don't know if you can until you know. And there are so many amazing lenders out there. I'm sure some of the show partners that will put you on a plan. Maybe you cannot buy a house today.
Right.
But are you on a 6-month, a 1 year, a 2 year plan? I mean,
Yep.
if you're in your early 20s, if you're looking at college graduation, how do you stack things up in your favor so that by the time you are in your mid 20s, that you are in the right position? There's going to be some effort that you have to put into it. It's not just going to fall in your hands, but do not despair, Gen Z.
There you go. And
call the show.
Financial.
Brandon can solve this for you. See, just call the show.
We can help. Yeah, call the show. Exactly. Financial literacy is a big part, I think, as well. Good stuff there. Oh, the work. America's commute to work is getting longer. Also, another stat that I showed: 75 miles is there. The number is that more and more people are having to drive over 75 miles to get to work. So you see people living at the end of the Brooksville, Suncoast Expressway, driving to Tampa or commuting to Tampa because they can't afford to live near, or they want to have at least more value. We got to take a quick break there. Jennie Restrepo, Insured Title Agency here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Call the hotline. We'd love to connect with you. Of course, any information that is resonating with you, we'd love to connect with you. Connect you also to our 80 different categories, 40 different show partners here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Coming up, feel good story of the day: how a U.S. high school class solved 6 murders. Cold case murder solved by high school class. Coming up here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
This is Work Done, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show, hosted by my man, Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 727-263-3707. Online at consumerqb.com.
Lindsay Rhymes here. My husband Brandon and I own the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams, and our team of seasoned agents is ready to help you buy, sell, invest, and love the life you live here in Tampa Bay. Communication, execution, customer service, and bulletproofing transactions are really where our team shines. We service Hillsborough, Pinellas, Manatee, Pasco, Hernando, and Citrus counties, and we have seasoned agents in residential, luxury land, and commercial divisions. Reach out to us, your Christian realtors, and let us help empower you with the right knowledge to make smart decisions with your next transaction. Call us at 727-263-3707 today. Again, that number is 727-263-3707.
Selling commercial, vacant land, or residential properties? Don't leave money on the table. List with the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. I'm Brandon Rhymes. You can reach me at 727-263-3707. Call or text 727-263-3707. Online at consumerqb.com.
You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
All right, Brandon Rhymes, Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team. We got Jennie Restrepo in the house, Insured Title Agency, and a couple of hot listings here. We got a listing on Gulf Boulevard. This one is a great opportunity in beautiful Pinellas County. This one's 18522 Gulf Boulevard, Unit F, Indian Shores, 3-bedroom, 3-bath, 2,000 square feet. You're right on the beach, and you walk out of your front door, you walk past your private parking and past your heated pool, and you are on the sugar sand beaches and dolphin-filled waters there at Gulf Boulevard, Unit F in Indian Shores. Multiple balconies, granite countertops, beautiful property, 18522 Gulf Boulevard, Unit F. Also have a property on Egrets. This one is in Newport Richey, which is Pasco County, gated community. 5642 Egrets Place, Newport Richey, 3 bedrooms, 3.5 bath, 3,000 square feet, quarter-acre lot, heated pool, private backyard, beautiful pavers, multiple balconies, and you have a water view across the street at 5642 Egrets Place, Newport Richey. You also have an elevator. Too many updates and upgrades to list here on the show, but check out all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
Somewhere sunny and 75. Tell me something good.
All right, feel good story of the day. We always like to tell you something good here. Kind of interesting story here. You got a class of high schoolers at Elizabethan High School in Tennessee solved a 35-year-old cold case of the redhead murders. The students used profiling to build a picture of the murderer, determining that he was likely a white male, heterosexual with long hair, possibly a truck driver. The students' work led to a press conference where they presented their findings, which led to a flood of tips from people who believe they might know the killer's identity. DNA evidence found on a woman from a separate case confirmed the killer's identity. Jerry Leon Johns, who died in prison in 2015, was in prison for the attempted murder. Goes on to say how the students and their teachers presented their evidence before a grand jury in Tennessee, which ruled that if Johns was still alive, the full power of the criminal justice system would have been brought down on him. The next project will see students tackle wrongful convictions in hopes of setting innocent prisoners free. All right, so there you go. Feel-good story of the day. Sociology class. They do some profiling. They figure out, like, hey, we know who this guy is. We got a flood of tips. Interesting story. We only have a couple minutes left, Jenny.
Yes.
Wanted to see what you wanted to talk about. We've got a couple minutes left. We could talk about pro and GTAR merging. We also teach in that class down there at the, what is it, the Pinellas location?
It's now the Pinellas office.
Pinellas office of the Real. What's the name? What's the name?
I think that they're still locking it down, but it will speak to Tampa Bay.
Okay.
The plan, everything. So this is an official merger of two very large organizations, and there's lots and lots of things that are going into it. But the plan and the intention is obviously to increase value, not just for our realtor members, but for our affiliate members, and most importantly for the community.
Yeah.
And have a much bigger reach and ability to bring more things to the community. And as a board member, I know that that has definitely been a focus for us, is more community outreach, more opportunities for members to be in the community, spreading the word about financial literacy, spreading the word about title fraud, spreading the word about home ownership opportunities.
Yeah, exactly. Home ownership opportunities. It's such a key element of the American dream. You know, the American dream, whether it's owning a business, owning a home, it starts somewhere, and it's starting a lot of times at the local boards. It's starting with these down payment assistance programs, starting with a good realtor base. Affiliates are key at helping out as well. And when you look at real estate, what a key element. And it's so sad to see that a lot of folks feel that they can't afford a house these days. And when it's really the core of, in my opinion, you know, the American dream and how to build wealth. I bought my first house very early in my 20s as well. I don't remember the exact time frame. Yeah. But final thoughts, back to you.
Final thoughts are: do not despair. Do not rely on the news to inform what is right for you in your real life. So I always advise, consult with a professional. If you're worried about title fraud, call us at Insured Title Agency. If you think you can't buy a house, then you don't know you can't buy a house. And I highly encourage you to call into the show, talk to Brandon or one of his other expert team members, talk to one of the show partners that does lending. Go to the experts to get the expert information, because it is not something general, it is specific. So reach out to us and follow us on socials at Insured Title Agency on Facebook and Instagram.
All right, good stuff. Jennie Restrepo always bringing good stories. I love the freshly busted fraud.
Yes.
And good stuff there coming up. We had Duane Bishoff on today's show, Jennie Restrepo as well. And we want you to please go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness, do something kind for one another, and be a force for good in the community. We'll see you next time.